Hi, I'm Jeremy Burley, and I'm the creator of the graphic novel Eye of the Gods. This is part one of a director's commentary on the first chapter of Eye of the Gods. So, let's start with the book cover. I was originally going for something kind of unsettling and creepy to set the tone. The main character, Sean Black, experiences visions throughout the book, and he can't control them. And the cover is inspired by a sequence later on in the story where he's rapidly having a series of visions, one after another, to the point where they overwhelm him and he loses control. So the cover is supposed to be sort of a literal interpretation of that. He's drowning in the eyes of people around him and the visions that he's having. I wanted to capture that moment and that emotion because it's kind of a defining point of the book. In a way, it sets the tone of the entire novel as he gets deeper and deeper into discovering where these visions are coming from. Now, I didn't draw any of those eyeballs on the cover by hand. I started with making 3 or 4 different ones in Photoshop and facing slightly different directions and then grouping them into compositions around the line drawing of Sean until the image was full. If I had to draw all of those, I probably would have gone crazy. So, on to page 1. Now, page 1 opens with the shot of a blurry drawing, and that's a moment that came from real-life experiences. So, I've had LASIK eye surgery a few years back, but I grew up with fairly poor vision and wearing glasses from about 4th grade on. My biggest fear as a kid was going blind and not being able to draw anymore because that was my favorite thing to do, growing up pretty much through all of my life. And there were definitely times when I would take off my glasses and I'd stare at my drawings and just get really depressed about the idea of like, wow, how would I be able to see or function or create if I can't see? And I figured if my vision was that bad as a kid, I would be completely screwed when I got older. I mean, even today, post, eye surgery, I still worry about a lot about, getting older and my vision still getting worse because, that just happens to everyone over time. At page 2, we see Sean at his drawing table. It's his natural environment. And the paintings that are on the wall are represented in really simple line drawing forms, but they're actually based on acrylic paintings I've done. You can probably see a few of them on the gallery on my website. Now, I want to introduce Sean's girlfriend Amanda early in the story. She's sort of Sean's sounding board for a lot of what's going on inside him, which makes sense in a relationship standpoint. And anybody that's ever been in a serious relationship knows that feeling of wanting to understand their significant other. And, Sean is obviously very anxious about this surgery that he's about to undergo. On page 3, Amanda tries to make him feel a little bit better about, what he's going on with a little bit of good-natured teasing. She tries to, just make him laugh a little bit, but it has the opposite effect. He's kind of hypersensitive about the whole thing. I wanted to flip the script a little bit on the typical male-female relationship dynamics. I mean, usually, stereotypically it's guys who make a smart aleck comment and, it's a little bit insensitive and pisses the girl off, but I have a leaning towards snarky women anyway, so that's how I wanted to play Amanda. To Amanda's credit, though, as soon as she sees that Sean is genuinely scared and that's a pretty deep fear, she immediately becomes very nurturing. I do feel a little bit like the dialogue at the end of the last page was a little bit on the nose, but that's sort of my own personal personality creeping into the character, because I have a habit of very much saying things that are exactly what they are in daily life. In the foreground of the last shot, there's a laptop on the table that opens to the web page of the New Eyes website. And that shot on the last page acts as a transition to page 4. And page 4 is supposed to be a representation of the actual website of the company New Eyes, who performs the cloning procedure that Sean is about to undergo. Instead of having a doctor explain the exact nature of the surgery, I thought this would be a clever way to deliver a bunch of exposition and sort of get it out of the way. And I laid out the page in 3 different tiers so that the first tier would be above the fold if you were visiting an actual website, and kind of have a call to action at the bottom with a find a center near you, place to enter your zip code. And as a side note, the reason why this surgery is so common in this particular story is that in the near future there's more ultraviolet radiation in the atmosphere due to environmental degradation. And I tried to work a little bit of environmentalism into it, but also that explanation is part, of a plot point that gets revealed later on in the story when Sean is digging deeper into the source of these visions he's having. Eye of the Gods will be in comic book shops in mid-February. To find a store near you, go to comicshoplocator.com. To download this free preview of Eye of the Gods and check out my other projects, please go to optichouse.com.